In this video, we're going to talk about how you can increase your conversion rates. First, let's cover exactly what a conversion rate is. And it is one of the most popular questions that I get. And being that we're in this industry and we do marketing all day long, we don't really think about it. But a lot of people just don't know. So we figured we'd go ahead and create this slide and make sure that we are all on the same page. So essentially what you've got here is an example of what a sales funnel might look like. You've got people going in that are just kind of learning about your business. They're not quite sure if it's something that applies to them or not, but they heard about you through somebody else or maybe through some advertising or SEO that you're doing. And we call those people suspects. So they're not really prospects yet because they haven't really decided if they are in your market, but they might be. So those are the suspects. Next are the prospects. Those are the people who are in your market and they could potentially be customers. And so you'd want to move them into where they're leads. So that might be where they're requesting access to a white paper that you've written, or they're calling to schedule an appointment. All of those things would be turning a prospect into a lead. And of course, finally, you've got customers, which are the people who are purchasers of whatever product or service that you have. So once they buy it, once a lead buys it, they become a customer. Now, each one of these examples in this step is a conversion point. So you've got suspects to prospects, you've got prospects to leads, you've got leads to customers. And of course, in customers, you can kind of keep filtering this down, but you can have different conversion points for different products or services that you have. But just generally speaking, you also have this overall conversion point, which is if 100 people start at the top of your funnel and only 2 people come out, that would be a 2% conversion rate. So if, for example, you have a sales page and it's designed to sell something, right? That's the action that it's asking for. If 100 people see that page, 100 unique people, and 2 of those people purchase, that's a 2% conversion rate. So I hope that sort of gives you an idea of what conversion rates are. And of course, with any of this, if you have any questions on anything, just leave a comment under the video. Or of course, if you're reading this on the blog post itself, there's a little more details there, and you can always leave some comments there and we can get back to you with some answers. So let's jump into conversion rate tips. So these are things that you can do, actions that you can take that will actually help to increase your conversion rate. The very first thing is, I think, the most important, which is keep it simple. Easy to navigate, easy to use, plus it'll actually help you keep focus, which is almost as important. If you keep things simple, you'll normally find that you're automatically sort of keeping the focus. And we'll get to that in just a second. But what I mean by simple is you'll see a lot of, and a homepage is a great example. A homepage is one of the worst converting pages you're ever going to have on your site. Fortunately, it's not what most people see right away. Most people will come in through a blog post or something like that, especially if you're doing like a AdWords PPC campaign, for example, or if you're doing a blog post, they'll probably see those first before they see your homepage. But the homepage is tough because if you go to just about any homepage out there, there's going to be 400 different things you can do on it. You can watch the slider go through, and that might talk about different sales coming up or more recent blog posts that were written. It'll have a place for an opt-in or to sign up for a form or a promotion. It might have some, if it's an e-commerce site, there might be multiple different products that are on sale that you can click. There's a contact us forms. There's all sorts of different things you can do, and it's a very complicated page. So the conversions for a particular thing won't be very high. It might be that that page is there to get you to go into any other page, and that's how you're measuring the conversion rate, in which case it would be good. So let's talk about making it useful. Now, this really is putting yourself in your customer's shoes, and it's very important to get into the mindset of that person as best you can. And think about, is your design actually helping this person get this, whatever it is done, whatever task they're trying to get done, or is it hindering it? Is it getting in the way? And so here's an example of how you can mentally go through your pages. If you're doing let's talk about just an AdWords pay-per-click campaign. So you're running a pay-per-click campaign on wedding rings, and somebody comes across your ad because they're searching for wedding rings, and maybe you do something that says, hey, get this free wedding ring buyer's guide, on how to pick the perfect diamond. 5 things you have to pick for the perfect diamond, whatever the offer is. So they click on that ad now because they're coming to a place where they're like, okay, I'm looking for wedding rings. I was interested. I saw this ad for this free guide on how to buy. That would be useful, so I can search for a wedding ring. And of course, you're just trying to convert them into some sort of lead so that you can ultimately sell them maybe a wedding ring. And so they come to your page and you've got this let's assume just for this example, when they come to this page, if your design has pictures of wedding stuff all over it, which is great because it's about weddings, right? But maybe you've got, how to find a perfect wedding photographer, and you've got all these other things that may not necessarily be wedding rings themselves. Your design actually is going to hurt. So even though you might have the perfect bride and groom and they're running through the park, or maybe you've got wedding cakes or whatever else that talks about weddings, if you don't really have wedding rings there, it's sort of actually hindering the process, because even though they're kind of in the spot, your conversions are not going to be as good, because even though it's related to wedding rings, it's not exactly wedding rings. And that's the mindset that they came. They didn't come to your page to think about weddings. They came to your page because they wanted wedding ring buyer's guide. And that's the mindset. They're thinking wedding ring buyer's guide. So your design has to focus on wedding ring buyer's guide, and it will actually improve conversions when you do that. You'll also want to focus on building the trust. Now, you can use this with a lot of images and graphics, but just keep them tasteful and keep them in the right spaces. So you can use things like credit card images, people that will say, hey, we accept credit cards, and you have the little Visa logo or the MasterCard logo. You can use guarantee badges or trust seals. And there's kind of an example of up on this slide. Obviously, this is not one you would really want to use, but they look something similar to this, where they say, we have a 60-day guarantee or a 30-day money-back guarantee, no questions asked, some sort of image that says that. You can also use the security badges. Those are the ones that will say, this site is protected by 128-bit encryption or whatever it is. This has been verified by, McAfee has VeriSign, and there's all sorts of different things that you can do to get your sites verified by third parties that basically let a customer know that, yes, it's secure and it's safe to buy here. And that's really all they do. Now, you want to put those images on your page if it makes sense to have them there. So, for example, if I'm not deciding whether or not to put in my credit card information on a particular page, I probably don't need to have all the security seals there, because at this point I'm not thinking, is it safe to buy from you? Is it safe to give you my credit card number? But if I'm on a page like a shopping cart checkout page, if I'm on that page and I want to put in my credit card information, and I'm thinking, do I really want to give this person, this company, this unknown entity, do I really want to give them my credit card information? And then underneath that, I see all these security badges that say, oh, it's safe to do it. These are third parties that have, verified this site, and that, yes, we're saying this site is a safe site. Well, okay, then maybe that is useful, and your cart rate will actually convert a little higher using something like that. But if you put those on a sales page, for example, so something that's all you really need them to do is click on the buy button. You're not really asking them to enter in a credit card information, at least not on that particular page. Those images can actually hurt a little bit, because they can distract from your main message, because people really aren't thinking, is it safe to buy from this person? They're thinking, do I even want this product? And you really want that page focused on answering that question. Speaking of focus, let's talk about this. So this is the second most important thing. Simplifying, of course, is the first. And when you keep things simple, you have a natural focus, but a lot of people lose the focus. And we sort of used this example with the wedding rings before, where we said, the page should have one primary focus. So if you built a page, that's advertised, let's say you started your campaign, you advertised wedding ring buyer's guide, and that's what people were coming to the page for. And then they get to the page and there's all this other wedding stuff that the buyer's guide's also there. And a perfect example of this is when people will take a PPC campaign, like an AdWords campaign. They're paying good money to have people click to these pages, but instead of sending them to a specific page that says, here's your wedding ring buyer guide, it's got pictures of different wedding rings, it's got a little bit about the buyer's guide itself and how they're supposed to get it. Instead of that, what people will do is they'll send them to the homepage, which is great because it's got all this content, but we talked about how distracting a homepage can be, because there's 400 different things you can do. And if there's 400 different things you can do, they're going to do those. They may not necessarily get that wedding ring buyer's guide because something distracted them and they started clicking around your site. They may or may not have gotten on your list, or they may or may not have purchased the product that you were hoping that they would. And it's because there's so many other things that they could do. Another example of distraction would be social sharing. People will put a like button on just about anything. And it kind of makes sense, because you want people to be able to share your content. However, does it really need to be on a sales page? Are people really going to go to a sales page and like it? Chances are they're not. It's not an action people normally will take. And if they're not doing that, all it can do is really be a distraction. Now, they will do that sort of action on a blog post, or they will do that sort of action on something that might be free that they think their friends would use or find helpful. But are they really going to share a sale? Unless it's something that is highly relatable to a small demographic of their friends that they think it's going to apply to, it's really highly unlikely that that stuff will actually work. In fact, what will happen is people will go to share it. They might go to share it, and then they go off to Facebook. Facebook goes, okay, great. What do you want to share? Oh, by the way, Barbara Sue just put up her cat photos, and now they're off on Facebook looking at stuff, and they're off of your sales page. So do you really need to have those buttons on there if the purpose is to get them to click on the sales page? And remember, every page has one primary focus, one primary mission. Is it to share? If it is, that's awesome. Like a blog post might be so they share and engage with your content. An opt-in, if it's just an opt-in form to get the name and email, that's all that page should do. It shouldn't offer to do anything else. Is it just the sales page where they're supposed to click on the button? And maybe it's just the next page. We talked about this with the homepage. A homepage's real conversion point is get you to go into the site deeper. Here's all the different stuff you can do. Go do something. Go do something, but leave. Just don't leave. That's all we want you to do. That's what a homepage is designed for. And that's why they should be designed for. They're not designed to really get you to do anything other than don't go back. Don't leave. We want you to go into the site to do something. So just make sure you keep your primary focus on the page that you're working to improve your conversions on. Now, your next step, audit your pages. Go through the pages that you're thinking about on your website. Maybe it's an opt-in or a sales page. And do a quick little audit. See where you can simplify, because that is the easiest, most important thing that you can do. Do you have images that might be distracting? Do you have images that don't really relate? They kind of relate, but maybe there are better images out there that you could use. Could you use some trust seals, or maybe you should take away those trust seals if they just don't apply to the particular story? So go through, audit your pages, see where you can simplify, and then test. Make sure you keep your original control page because you want to make sure, but then go through and test it against the new version of your page and see which one converts better. And then from there, just tweak, and ideally you'll be improving your conversion rates in no time. Of course, as always, if you have any questions over anything in this video, you can feel free to leave a comment below. And if you're reading this on the blog itself, you can leave comments there as well. And as always, check out Seriously Simple Analytics for additional information and help on using services like Google Analytics. Thanks again for watching this video, and we'll see you on the next one.